Good.
All right. So at first, you are a poet in demand, and now you want your poetry to expand. Welcome to Diversus Poetry Podcast, where we talk all things poetry. My name is Matthias.
And I'm Jeff.
Okay, and then listen, we're super excited. First of all, it's been a full 7 days since we've been with each
Crazy.
other, and a very big, very large thing happened in the poetry community, and really for the world community, at the world as a community as well. The great titan and just like herald of poetry, Nikki Giovanni, passed yesterday, December 9th, 2024. Actually, so today, beautifully enough, at Streetlight Guild, there is a home that was repurposed in, well, it was a home that got turned into a salon that is now a art gallery, and performance space called Streetlight Guild, and that's ran by Scott Woods here in Columbus, Ohio. And we actually had a really cool, beautiful
Oh, you got to
homegoing.
go?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Got to stop by
Yep.
where
Shout out
we
to Streetlight for doing that.
sat at
That's
the
a
streetlight.
that's a gesture on there.
Yeah, and it was a really beautiful event, where everybody they read, Nikki Giovanni's poems, and just like giving like their stories and experiences, either personally with Nikki Giovanni. So like a lot of people, my wife included, Ajane, she's like actually like she's met Giovanni on two just separate occasions, and actually opened up, a poetry set for Nikki Giovanni on one of those occasions. And yeah, and just everybody was kind of giving their personal accounts, like their relationship, either to Nikki Giovanni the person, or to Nikki Giovanni's work, and how it's impacted. And if you are somebody that is doing poems, or if you're somebody or if you're somebody that's doing poems, or if somebody that's doing poems like professionally, if you're somebody that is, traveling doing their work, or kind of expanding their work into other fields or anything like that, I promise you, you have a lot to owe to the work of Nikki Giovanni. So, rest in power to the great and
Facts.
our new ancestor.
Yes. Yeah. It's I never got a chance to share like physical space with her, but I mean, it's just been nice just seeing everyone's remembrances and reflections of her because it was just kind of just been flooding social media. So even if you don't know who Nikki Giovanni is, for some unfortunate reason, hopefully you're at least getting introduced to her work in some capacity, which is
Yeah, and get
important.
familiar, man. One of the really cool things that you kind of see, especially in times like these. Again, it's like heartbreak, because it's also like, she was 81 years old, so there is like that sense of, she lived a really long and like beautiful life, and we could be so lucky to kind of have, that many years. But then it's also like, you just like, man, you just want more, right? Like you just
Yeah.
like you wish you could have more. So yeah, it's just really good to see so many people have all like these like really warm feelings, about their experiences, and really just like kind of the inspiration when it comes to the work. And it took a lot for any it takes a lot for anybody to kind of have the kind of resume, and kind of accomplishments that Nikki Giovanni, had in her lifetime here. So, I know we talk about it a lot. We talk about like looking for areas to expand your work, or looking for ways to, make your work have like some kind of impact, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
a larger impact. And of the many things that Nikki Giovanni is a template for, like that's absolutely one of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's definitely part of the kind of the older guard, and I think nowadays, just with everything that's kind of happening, you look at technology. I mean, the big thing that's happening right now in tech is like Sora and like the video
Yeah.
generation stuff. Which by the way, on January 9th, we're actually doing a panel talking about the impacts of AI on visual art, music, and also poetry. So keep an eye out for information about that in town. But I think that leads in nicely to stuff that we're going to be discussing today, or someone we're going to be also discussing today.
Yeah. I'm super excited. So if y'all are tuning in maybe from the flyer or anything like that, then you'll see that we are going to have a poet, Soleil Cherie, on the podcast with us here today. I actually met her at a show that's here in Columbus, and so these very important things. Come out to your shows, come out to your events, like support your poetry community. We're gonna talk with her a little bit about not only the projects that she's working on right now, but what got her into poetry and what got her into performance and writing and all of that really, really, really good stuff. But before we get into that, Jeff doesn't eat food, right?
Hated.
Not as often as he should be eating food.
That's actually very true.
And that's actually very true. I have a real problem.
I'm definitely like between like 2 p.m. and midnight. I have like one meal that's definitely closer to midnight. It's pretty bad.
Why do you
It's just weird. Like just like I have to get our kid from school, and then I have to teach him after. Like it's just like one thing leads to another. Like it's just.
All right. So every once in a while, so I go to this open mic. Sometimes we gotta talk about this open mic. There's a funny story about that. We'll talk about it soon. But go to this open mic. It's at this restaurant called Soul to Go here in Columbus. And I say to myself, hey, we should try some of their food because they have some pretty decent dishes. And so I brought Jeff and me something to try for you guys online. Last week we tried something from there. We tried was it a pie, right?
We did try a pie.
No, it was a pound cake.
Oh, we tried a pound cake. Yes.
Pound cake.
Yes.
We tried pound cake from there.
Yes.
And today we are trying something a little bit different. Here, like actually, like kind of, what are we thinking here? What do you think is in there?
I think it's something that is appropriate with this. Is it wings? No.
Close.
It's chicken.
There's chicken is involved.
That's always a good call. Do we want to get our guests in on this, or is this just us?
Actually,
I'm gonna look backstage. Soleil, do you want to be in on this?
Soleil, do you want to be in on it?
Good in the background. She's like,
No,
nope.
I don't want to be.
She's like, nope.
Okay, so what this dish is?
What am I looking at?
It's wings. So they have this dish. It's like wings. It's like a chicken strip on top of cornbread, kind of drizzled with like honey.
This is like to be clear. This cornbread. This feels like it's almost like deep fried cornbread. This is like dense.
It's dense.
This is okay. So we have some chicken, and then we got some chickens on some sticks.
Chicken on some sticks, skewered.
So you don't want to be.
No, because we got to bring Soleil in proper.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is chicken is not the proper way to do. Okay.
Yeah, so hold on.
This piece is mine, and
okay. Here, we'll try the chicken first.
We're gonna do the chicken first.
All right. So the versus audience, you're seeing here. I don't know what kind of spices we're dealing with here yet. This is my first time ever having this dish here as well, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
I wish I had gotten it. Having it warm would be nice, and this is not warm because it's in a car and stuff. But
I don't know. What do you think?
Solid. It's Now to be clear, I do not have a very good sense of taste. Allergies have just destroyed my nose. No, this is a sad. This isn't what. Don't laugh at my pain. I gotta find the right. This is. I'm on the right button.
It's like if you go to a museum and you're just like walking around and you're looking at all the paintings and you're like, man, this place is really nice. Now to be clear, I am blind, so I'm I'm seeing nothing.
Oh, it's solid.
But amazing work.
What's that? What seasoning is it?
I didn't ask the chef. I don't know.
It's good. 'Cause I'm definitely not like it's not Parmesan, but it's also not Cajun-y. Is this yours or mine?
That's yours.
This one. I would say it's a little dry.
Little you know, cause, and also I think that might also be something with like how late or how
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Because
I'm
I
not
feel
gonna
like
attack
maybe
them
if
for
it
that.
were in there, I don't think it would be
To be
by
fair, I
much, but
haven't
a little
had
bit more.
pieces of chicken that look like this. This is like it's like thin and like when I've had chicken on a stick, it's been like long sticks. But anyways, I enjoy it. I'd be I'd be eager to try this cooked like on the spot.
Nice, so to go. Yeah. Okay, now we got to try the cornbread now.
This is my oh my god! It was like this box
It's
is like
it's heavy, man. It's heavy,
Thank you for getting this.
dude. Of course. All right. So you ready? Oh, that's good.
So I mentioned before it's like almost like a fried muffin, which means your exterior is very
It's
firm,
like crunchy,
slightly crunchy.
and it was much more so when it first was purchased as well.
It's almost the contrast between the exterior and interior is almost like it's a little jarring for me.
Really,
The inside's like almost melting.
you know what? You know what it feels like? You know the Church's chicken biscuits.
I don't because I don't do church's chicken.
Fair enough.
I don't just eat grease.
All right. Well, Church's chicken, their biscuits are really, really good, but the problem is the texture. The problem is
That's unfortunate.
like the texture is just really super off. So like this right here is like a Church's chicken biscuit, but like without the texture without I think the entirety of the texture problem. Maybe there's like a juxtaposition of it's just like really, really soft on the interior and crusty on, but I actually like that. So
It's too soft for me on the inside. I'll be honest. It's like not even. It's like not even holding together. Like if this didn't have the crust, it would just fall into mush.
can you like rip that off?
Huh?
Can you rip this off?
I'm gonna get you a napkin. You want a napkin? I'm gonna get you a napkin.
Actually, no.
Just boom. All
I'm
right.
just gonna eat it.
All right. I'm gonna bring in our guest because she's been super patient. She's very kind. Slay was like, "This is not what I signed up for." I was told there would be poetry. This is like by far the exact opposite of poetry.
Delicious. Okay, well, hold on. Before
We gotta tee this up.
we gotta tee it up.
Nothing. Oh, wait. We got some blasphemy coming out here. Nothing's worse than a Popeye's biscuit. Wow. Wow. See,
We're gonna go ahead and delete you from the channel. You don't have to.
This is
please don't ever say that again.
Sierra, I rock with you, but this is a. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that is a stance to take. Very very brave of you, very brave,
During Black History Month, you would say that.
very very brave. All right.
Okay. So, Soleil Cherie is a multi-talented artist from far East Columbus, Ohio. At an early age, she developed a love for the arts, from joining the choir, let's go, to playing the violin, dancing, and painting. If it involved expressions, she would try it. What she, what she began to enjoy most was being on stage. In 2018, Soleil joined Kent State University's Poetry Collective. She and her team would later on go to compete at CUPSI, beginning her journey as an official spoken word artist. Later that year, she was proud to accept her Bachelor of Arts for Theater Studies, solidifying her dedication to begin seen, heard, and recognized as a performer. In late 2020, Soleil would make the decision to leave her hometown for Atlanta, Georgia, hitting the ground running as soon as she arrived. She enjoys incorporating music into her sets as she believes it not only invites the audience into the mood of her pieces, but also shows her range as a vocalist. She showcased this skill best at events like Mixtape Soul Sessions, curated by Omise Browning and DE Music Management's Artist Showcase by Donna Mitchell Soleil has been a featured artist for multiple venues throughout Atlanta and hopes to continue to use her talents to grow as a creative by bringing that same passion to any audience she encounters. Y'all, I saw Soleil at a show here in Columbus, Ohio, called Broken English. And sometimes you go to a poetry performance and you're like, oh, things are just gonna be cool. I was like photographer. I was like a photographer for the event. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited. This thing's gonna be cool. Blew me away. Really, really incredible work. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all start clapping. You clap now. Even if you're at home, I can tell if you're not clapping. So do that. The one and only Soleil Cherie.
Hi.
Yeah.
What's up, Soleil?
Hello. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm really sleepy, but I'm good.
Ah, we'll wake you up.
That's fair. So glad to have you on the show. I feel like today was like such like a roller coaster because we went from like there's like some technical difficulties with the platform and we didn't even know if we were going to be able to get it on, and then finally everything worked out. So I was just like, oh man.
Yes. I was like, wait a minute. I already posted the flyer. Like this has to work. Like
Take it back. But yeah, no, we're so happy to have you on the show. I was about to ask like a really stupid question because like I was like, what are time zones? I was like, what time is it in Atlanta? I was like, it's the same time. The times
yeah.
are the same. So I'm gonna forget. I don't even know why I said I was gonna ask that because I could have just not asked the question.
This is.
You
I wanted to be transparent. I thought this was a safe space.
How are you liking Atlanta?
Atlanta's cool. It's really cool. It's definitely a lot different than Columbus because you're in the
Yes.
South, so it's a different culture. But there's so many different things to do here, so many different people, and I feel like I've grown so much as a person, as a woman, as an artist here. So it's pretty dope. It really is.
Cool. Well, Soleil, thank you so much for being with us. Can you just kind of let us know what's like your big poetry project right now that you're working on?
So should I start from the beginning or just tell you like I don't know?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would really like to know kind of because, and I think one of the really cool things about our audience is that it ranges from people that are, they're just now getting into poetry, so they're just now kind of
Mm,
kind of discovering their voices,
okay.
to people that have been doing poetry for quite a while, and they're trying to really kind of integrate how to kind of next level their work. So if you can maybe talk to our audience a little bit about just like your journey with poetry, maybe how that started, and kind of where that kind of took you.
Sure. Um, well, I've been writing poetry since I can't even remember, since I was in elementary school. I think I started when I was in second grade. Um, I was in the poetry club in the fifth grade, even in high school. Like I've been writing for as long as I can remember. And I really got to credit, my parents for that, mainly my mom, because she was a writer too. And I learned by watching her perform at this. There's a memory that I have specifically, but it was of her performing at this church, and she did this like really deep piece about her life, and I was like, that that seems cool. I want to do that, and I guess I've just been writing ever since. So yeah. I mean, my parents are writers, my brothers are writers. Like there's just a lot of artistry in my family. So but when it comes to me, I guess you could say that I got my start as a performative poet at Kent State when I was on the Poetry Collective there. Um, and I really got to give it up to Cleveland too. Like, I talk a lot of shit about Cleveland, but I have a whole lot of love for Cleveland. I
As we
do.
all do.
Yes.
I have no, I really do. I have a whole lot of love for Cleveland because believe it or not, I really didn't get my poetry start in Columbus. I got it in Cleveland. When I don't know if you guys heard of B Side and the People Poetry Slam, but that's where I really got my start. Is like practice. I mean, aside from Kent State, obviously, and doing slams there, but as far as like really going into the city and performing there, and they're the ones that actually sent me to WAUPs and everything. Like it's a whole different story, but. Um, Yeah, as far as getting my poetry start, that's actually where I started doing my poem titled Yellow. And that's essentially what my film is about, if that makes sense. Yellow was a poem that I wrote after getting out of a really shitty relationship. Can we cuss? I know we.
We can.
Let's ask judges. Are we allowed?
Are we? I'll allow it.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, but
Damn it.
Yellow was my bad. But Yellow was a poem that I wrote after getting out of a really, really trash relationship. And I remember just being in my bathroom. It was a really sunny day, and I was like, damn, I'm really happy. I was like, what makes me happy? The color yellow. And then I just started writing about all these different things that made me happy, starting with the color yellow and just kind of comparing it to my skin, comparing it to my experience, and just really just letting it. I call it my first happy poem, if that makes sense, because I know that we're used to, as poets, we're used to hearing like really sad poems. But this was the
Yeah.
poem that I really just kind of let my happiness out. Um, and so then after that, because I wrote Yellow, and I hope I'm not rambling either, but I wrote Yellow when I was 22 years old, when I was still in college, my senior year. But then I wrote Gold as a follow up after that. And I don't really know what mindset I was in when I wrote it. I just remember that I wrote that in the bathroom too. And I remember I wrote it in dry erase marker on my mirror, and I just started pinning it out on my mirror. And then once I ran out of space on my mirror, I started to write on my counter. And I just let it flow as much as possible. And then I transferred it to the journal. Was that, do you have a question? Oh,
Yes, I did have a question.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Was it was it the same bathroom for both poems?
No, these are two
Oh,
different
okay.
bathrooms. So when I wrote the first poem, when I wrote Yellow, I was still near campus. I was in Ravenna. I don't know if y'all know where Ravenna is. It's like 15 minutes away from Kent. And then when I wrote Gold, I was here in Atlanta.
Oh, you said Urbana?
Huh?
Did you
Atlanta.
say
Oh
Urbana?
no, Ravenna. Ravenna.
Oh, Ravenna. Oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
Sorry.
It's like 15 minutes away from Kent. It's not too far from campus. Like I was living in a
Okay.
my own apartment and shit. So yeah, but
Yeah.
but yeah, with oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
My bad. But yeah, with Gold, I wrote it when I was in my mid 20s. I was 26 years old when I wrote it, and I just basically tried to pen out a poem that kind of reflected where my headspace was at, and I just wanted a poem that kind of reflected like just power, because I think in the moment I didn't really feel as powerful, and that poem was my way of pushing that feeling out of me, if that makes sense. And so to kind of segue into my project, the short film is based off of those two poems. I pretty much used my story and I just kind of expanded on it a little bit. And I basically created a poetry visual off those two poems. And what it is it's a story following a girl named Soraya. She just got out of a really bad relationship and she's processing that relationship. And essentially, what she does is she gets a call from her friend, and her friend kind of helps her maneuver through that relationship and maneuver through those feelings. Um, but she does it in a very poetic way, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's basically a story about friendship, womanhood, innocence, and just what it means to blossom within yourself. And then Gold is the part two of that, which is kind of a reflection of me in my late 20s, because right now I'm 29 years old. So it's more of a reflection of where I'm at in life right now. And it's following both girls, both friends. And um, again, please stop me if I'm rambling or if you have any
You're
questions,
good.
please
You're
let
good.
me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gold is basically following that same formula, but it's basically supposed to be a reflection of, you know, hmm, it's supposed to be a contrast of your early 20s versus your your late 20s, and how your relationships shift. So she gets out of a breakup, she gets into another relationship that really blossoms. And then the same thing with her friend. Her name's Koya now has a family, and she has a husband. So it's basically a reflection of how those relationships have changed over the years and over time. And how Soraya basically deals with that and dealing with just her feelings and yeah, just processing all of that, processing the breakups, processing not being able to see her friend as much, and processing her independence. That's the main thing that it's about. So, womanhood, innocence, growth, and just expansion and all. So, I know that was a mouthful, but that's what it's about.
No, yeah. So, because and we covered a lot of ground here, so I want to kind of talk about two different things. But I'll start with the project itself because I think we also talk a lot about like when it comes to the work, not necessarily going wide, but going like deep, right? So, I really like this idea that you had this concept, like both the yellow and gold, and it in the work itself there was like one was a like the original and like there's like a sequel to it, right? There's like this
That's
next
basically
step.
what it is, yeah.
Right. And I really like this idea that when you are exploring kind of the film space, it's kind of operating the same way. Was that intentional? Like when you wrote Gold, were you thinking, hey, this is like my next step from Yellow, or was it a different experience that you kind of realized, okay, these things can go together?
No, no, no. I didn't think about it as actually, yes, I did. I don't know why I'm saying that because they both start the same way. So yellow starts, I used to hate the color yellow. But then gold starts, I used to hate the color yellow. Now I've made it gold. And it really ties itself together. It's kind of like a full circle moment, if that makes sense. So, but was
It's,
that your question? Or
No, that was yeah.
okay.
it, it sounds almost very like memoir esque in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I never even thought about it that way. But yeah, I guess you could call it that. Um,
Because is how grounded is it? I mean, you mentioned some of the inspirations were autobiographical, but how much of it would you say is kind of based on your life versus things that you've kind of just added on to it?
it's it's really based off my life. It
It's
really is.
not.
It really is like it so it really grew into something more than I thought it was or that I thought it was going to be. Initially, I just wanted it to be like a regular poetry visual and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to make this into a film. And I'm going to make this as large as I possibly can. But I just took
Can-
small elements from my life and I just yeah, I based like her friend, her name is Koya. I based her off of basically my tomboy side, my more confident side, and a friend of mine that I had growing up and throughout, you know, high school and college and all of that. And I just based it off of those things. But again, I expanded on the story a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then same thing with Gold. Um, yeah, I guess I just kind of wrote it in the sense of how do I kind of pour myself into this character, but also take myself out of it a little bit, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I don't want to give
Yeah.
too much because I want people to be, I want people
Yeah,
to
no.
watch it.
And that's also one of the things because you're like, man, I have the entire idea in my head already, and so like, how can I like talk about it without like, especially because you're excited about the
Oh,
work. So like, I run into that all the time, and I really love what you said like when you were talking about like fuck it, I'll just make it a short film because I think like you kind of get that feeling a lot where it's like because you're writing the poem, you can see the poem, like you see the progression, you see
mhm.
the character like interactions, you're kind of understanding those things. And I think that as artists a lot of times we kind of confine ourselves, like when we're writing the poem we confine ourselves to like this is what is represented in this art, like this is these 5-6 stanzas, this is the work. I know Jeff doesn't like long poems, but 5 or 6 stanzas, this is this is just the
Wait,
work.
hold on, wait.
But
Why don't you like long poems? Why?
why,
Never
Jeff?
mind. Go
Why
ahead.
can't
No,
people have
no,
long
no.
poems, Jeff? Exactly.
So
We want to know.
to be clear, the issue isn't in the long poem. The issue is that I think a lot of people, when they're writing longer poems, aren't. We're not necessarily justifying the length of the poem for the poem's goal.
Do you
You know,
see how he said the same thing that
this
we
isn't
just
this
said,
no. So
but just
like
in a different
no,
way?
like
It's
there's
not that I don't
It's
like.
this.
It's not that I hate tall people. It's just that once you're over his height, it's
if you
like,
can
what is
No,
just
that
yes.
I
for?
It sounds
it's
like a
if
really interest or a really nice way of saying this shit is way too long and you're saying a bunch of nothing. But
I think a lot of people are writing poems where it's taking some time to arrive at what the poem's actually trying to say.
yeah, that makes
And instead of then moving on from there and be like, okay, this was my vehicle to
mhm.
get me here, but my vehicle that got me from point A to point B can't be the same vehicle that gets me from point B to point C. But I think a lot of people aren't accepting that and just keep the entire
That
entry,
makes sense. That makes
you know.
sense. I mean, I think I've had those moments too where like I was just writing and just writing and just writing, but what it really was is I just didn't know how to end it. So I just kept going until I figured out how I wanted to end it.
See,
You,
because I would have said the opposite. Because I would have said that. I mean, maybe it was that we didn't know how to end it, but it could have been the opposite. We didn't know how to start it.
Mm.
I think you run into that a lot too when you're talking about, and like I probably ask you like if you ever run into it with like filmmaking, like in the process of like script writing, because a lot of times you'll have a scene where you're like, okay, well, I have an introduction, I have, a beginning, I have a conflict, I have a resolution, I have it all happening in a scene, but I really love this interaction. I really love these characters' dialogue. I really love this kind of back and forth or kind of the banter that they have going on. Like, and you kind of push that past maybe it's welcome. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, have you ever run into that? Not only just like in poems, but also like in your script work.
Um, I think because I already had a framework, I feel like it's a lot easier it was a lot easier to write the script because again, it's based off of my life. And I
Uh,
already had the poems prepared. But this honestly, writing the script was easy. It was easy. It was fun. I had a good time. I don't know. It was really fun to just allow my imagination to run as wild as possible. And whenever I hit a snag or whenever I hit a road bump, like, because there was a point in time, specifically with gold, yellow was it was easier to kind of not rush through. Definitely didn't rush. It took me a lot of time, but it was just a lot easier to write. And I think it's just because of the fact that yellow I wrote when I was in my early 20s, and I've already passed that stage in my life. Versus gold, I'm pretty much writing from the perspective of the stage that I'm in. And so I'm like, I don't even really know what I want to say. But the best way that I got through that was really just living life and then adding those aspects of life into that portion of it. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
you mentioned something earlier, like you mentioned that so you had these poems, so you had gold, you had yellow, and then you were thinking about tying in a visual component. And please correct me if I am misquoting anything. But then you mentioned that yeah, no, like let's go big. Let's use film. It's like there's this idea that film is as large as we can get. Why do you feel that film is able to take things to a larger level than other medium?
I love this question. I love film so much. So I know that my degree is in theater, but once I reached my sophomore year, I was like, I actually don't want to do this as much as I would really love to do film. Don't get me wrong, I love theater, I do, but not as much as I love film. I feel like with film, there's really this magic to it that you can't get in any other medium to me. I feel like with theater it can be kind of limiting, and with film you can just make it into all these different things. There's effects, there's the audio that goes into it, the camera work, the everything about it is just incredible to me. What was the question? Because I'm getting ready to go on a tangent.
I mean, it's tied into the things you're mentioning already. Is what is it about film that, in your opinion, allows it to be a larger medium than other
Yeah.
art forms?
Hmm. That's really a good question. So, like I said, I really just love film for all those reasons. But I don't know when it was just a poem. I feel like it was just that it's a 3 minute poem, but
Hmm.
when you put it into film form, you add an entire story to it, a backstory to it. So I feel like people can kind of get a peek into where my mindset was at when when I penned it out. So I feel like that's the reason why I chose films, because I don't feel like you can really tell stories the same way that you can via a book. Because, you know, even though books are incredible, we all love to read, of course, you can't really see it. Or, you know, I'm trying to think of something else. With written literature, you can't really see it, but when you have it on screen, on film, it's there. It's there for you to feel and enjoy and be a part of, if that makes sense. It does make sense. I keep saying that. What I'm saying makes sense, damn it.
It makes what I'm saying. It's understandable. I really like that because I also think about like when I'm thinking about creating films or I'm thinking about like writing a script, it's like you're taking something and you're increasing the resolution from your poem, like from just like the written words of your poem, right? So you're increasing like the author's interpretation of what's happening from just like the words on the page or maybe even the words that are communicated, and again that next level might be somebody hearing you perform a poem, and so then they can kind of get a sense of your emotions like throughout the course of the poem, but then when you add in film you can start adding other like subtle mysteries in the work as well, right? So like depending on how somebody enters into a scene or how people interact or like how their voices like change when they're like they hear certain words or things like that, like so you can add your own mysteries that kind of take the resolution away and kind of make it somewhat more intrigue or give it another level of intrigue, and I think it's just a really good way to communicate your message, because that's really kind of what we're doing, right? Like when we're talking about like poems or like writing poems, we're telling stories, and I feel like once you start understanding that, you can be like, well, this is the medium that I'm telling the story in right now, but the film is that next medium that I think is going to communicate it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to actually circle back to what you said, I did add a little bit of Easter eggs in there. They're really for me, but I added my own little. So just a reminder, I did mention that I was 26 when I wrote it. So just saying.
Somebody's gonna like point at the screen like, I know that bathroom, and then
that's the one she recorded. That's the one she recorded.
No, for real. Just some more Easter. I can't think of any more Easter eggs that I put in there. But that's the one that first comes to mind, is me writing it when I was 26.
So I know that we have some viewers that are playing around with all kinds of different art forms. Maybe someone is considering tying in video projects to their poetry. If you kind of had to just give 3 things that people might want to consider if they're like, hey, I have this poem, I want to make it into a video project, maybe a film, what are some things that you think I should start learning more about?
You need money. You need money. Bruh, money.
We need. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was one of the. Okay, so I want to go more in depth about that. Please bring me back to the other 2. But the money aspect is really important, because I know for me, I want to pay my crew. I really want to pay everybody what they're worth. But there's only so much you can do if you don't have a budget to start with. So that can be.
How big is your crew?
That's my point.
I'm
literally starting from scratch. I'm starting everything from scratch. I want to say, so I do have a cast. Actually, no. Yes. No, I don't have a cast yet. Not fully. So I did cast for Soraya, obviously, because that's me. There is Koya. She's already cast. I'm casting for Key, so you'll see that casting call on my page. And right now I'm trying to build a crew. So that's probably one of the hardest aspects, because, right now they like to say that we're not in it, but we're in a recession and people want to get paid. So, and that's perfectly fine. It totally makes sense.
Is this where the casting call is? Is this where we can find it?
That's the casting call. That's right.
Okay.
Isn't it nice? Okay. I made that. You see the flyer?
Hey, we were talking about flyers earlier.
But yeah, no, for real, you really need money. But it's a learning process. When it's a learning process for me because I'm doing everything on my own. I'm doing everything from scratch. But with me doing this is it's allowing me to network. It's allowing me to meet new people. It's allowing me to expand. So when I do want to do another project, I know who I can call. I know who I can reach out to. So it's really just bringing more resources to myself. And then not only that, but you get to work with people who can really see your vision and really understand where you're coming from, and that's even better. um, so yeah, I would say the money aspect,
Can we?
but you want to make sure that hmm, if you don't have a budget, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to people that again can see your vision for one, and two, you want to make sure that you can give them something. So at least be able to feed them. At least be able to give them something to let them know that you appreciate them being here. Because yes, even if they're doing it for free, you need to make sure that they feel um, appreciated. I said that already.
Mhm.
What else? And then credits. You want to also make sure that it's you're putting as much love into your project as possible, so that they can put this on their credits as well. But if you are able to get the money, it would be either through crowdfunding. So that's something that I'm going to be doing very soon. So please look out for that, because I will be making a page to start bringing in the funds for that. Or you can always apply for grants. But the difficult part about grants is that if you don't apply at a certain time, then they're out, and you won't be able to get back to it until months later. So just be very cognizant of that. So you said three, two,
I just want to pause there really quick just to talk about the monetary stuff. Is
yeah.
please keep receipts. Everyone, please keep receipts.
Ooh,
If
yeah.
you are serious, if you are serious about this and you're approaching it from a business, by the way, this is disclaimer. I'm not a CPA. Please find an accountant. I cannot actually give financial advice. Um, these are business expenses. Like if you're
Yeah.
treating it as a business, these are business expenses. And some of you might be like, "Well, Jeff, I have a W-2 or whatever." You can still have business expenses on top. Like a lot of people don't know that, but no, this is
Oh
taken away
wait,
from your
I didn't even.
taxable.
I
This
didn't
is
know that.
I am not a CPA. I'm not giving financial advice.
Somebody's like, what? Wait, what?
um,
You mean the IRS knows about
we
this
really
bill
need to
too?
bring on a tax person. These are if you're if you're getting food for people, if you're getting money to like do stuff, if you're even hire someone like to make flyers, stuff like these are potential business expenses.
Like even I don't know what you made this in, like Canva. Did you make it in
It was
Canva?
Canva. I did. I love me
Canva.
some Canva. I love
No,
Canva.
listen, like, but a subscription to Canva though.
These
Like,
are
think
business
about it. If you're
expenses.
using it, if like for business purposes, there you go.
Please,
That's
artists, we need to talk. I know people are like, but accounts cost money, which is also a business expense too, by the way. Like, we need to like just call an accountant for an hour and just talk to them about things to do. Yes, it's gonna cost money to do it, but it's gonna say you're gonna get the money back. Okay, just do it.
Yeah.
Um, I do want to talk about those two other things really quick, but you mentioned the casting costs. I kind of want to put a pin on that and
okay.
discuss here a little bit. Let's so like so this is a casting call. So like you might be like you as in you watching this viewer. You might be like, hey, like maybe I'll do my own video project, but where do I start? Well, if you're making a casting call, I think this is just already. I don't do film, but just looking at this, I'm getting a lot of useful information about this. So it's like if I want people to help me,
Thank you.
because
I worked so hard on that thing.
it's very clean. This is very clean. Because if you want people to work on a project with you, the more specific you can be about the project. Because if you're like, hey, let's do a project, and they're like, cool, what are we doing? They're like, I don't know. Well, like that's that project's not happening. So it's like, no, like this is what I'm looking for: a black male, age 25, 35. This is what he's gonna do at first. This is what he's gonna do. Like, so we're being very specific, so we can. The people who may or may not even like try out for this, at least they have a very clear idea. Oh, this is exactly what they want. So people can also self-select to be like, yes, this is me. Yes, this is, or no, this is not me. Like that ability to do that is the whole point. We don't want everyone applying. We want the right people.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of really helpful information here. So I hope everyone can like take a screenshot or go over to the
Yeah.
Instagram page just to kind of get an idea. Like, oh, let me make my own. And look, it looks clean. It looks
Yeah.
professional. Presentation.
a word of advice also, do not forget the deadline, because that's why it's in red. I forgot to add it the first time. So it was really a reminder to let people know this is the deadline. Because at first I was just going to let it be whenever you want to send it to me. And then a friend was like, girl,
No.
Need to know.
Nope.
No.
Because otherwise,
and, I think one of the things about like that time incentive is that like it's like December 16th right now, but because like I don't know, like let's say it was always December 16th, but like right now it's like October, then if it's like October 5th and you're like, man, the deadline's December 16th, you probably see like a couple come in before that, and then December 15th at 11:58 p.m. is when you get like 40 of the ones coming in after that. So having like a deadline that's like clear and pronounced, and you can be like, hey, this is exactly when it is, it's really good so that you can make sure that, people know that, hey, try to get it in as soon as possible, but December 16th is an absolute cutoff. Because I'm sure somebody's probably gonna, December 17th, they're gonna be like, hey, Soleil, hey, I didn't get my thing over to you quite yet. How about you just take this voice note of my audition?
Right.
absolutely not. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Do not do. Okay, and I'm gonna say this to the viewers out there: don't do that to the filmmakers. Okay, like please get stuff on time. Like trying to handle your own, like the production is gonna be a lot regardless, and that's without you trying to go outside of procedures to try to get like your audition tapes or anything like that in. Like make sure you get the stuff on time.
We've also mentioned some things about design. Some things I like about this is very legible. Legibility is really big. Like it's important. So like even if you have something backed up, like this is on your screens. Most likely this is relatively small, but you can still read. When I say legibility, I literally mean legibility. Like can you read the thing? A lot of times, even like red text, and Matthias already knows how I feel about red text. It tends to be a pretty bold move because on most backgrounds, it's really hard to read. But even in this case here, because you have the black background and you have the red text in the larger font, like even that December 16th, that smaller, you can still read it. So like this is a case
because it's larger in comparison to the
so this is a case where red font I think works well. If this were like a blue background or a green background, so that would be a horrible choice, and people still do it anyways. So I think the choices here are smart. It's very clean.
Such a dad, but people still do it anyway.
They do.
It was giving dad. It was. It does sound like dad.
Look, we've all had our design things in the past. I did want to ask you. I also thought it was a bold move not to say black and yellow, but yellow and gold, because I'm not a Steelers fan. Anyways, all right. Well, I just wanted to throw that. Sorry, I just wanted to also make a note.
I'm really not that much of like a football fan. I mean, even when I was back home, I was like, yeah, go Buckeyes, but
it's all good. It's all good.
Jeff's an Eagles fan, so he's not really a sports fan this year.
Eagles are legit. They look better than Buckeyes.
Whoa! There's no reason to go that far.
Are they losing or something? Are they a bad team?
Oh we'll talk Buckeyes later.
Wait.
Okay, so
don't do that. I may not know a lot about sports, but I like them.
They just lost a game that
one game.
It's just the most important game for them. But that's it's just one game.
Not too much.
We don't have to talk. This isn't a sports talk show. This is a poetry show. Okay, so I gave you a huge task earlier. I said, hey, like 3 things to be considering. The first thing was money, and then money you broke into 3 things, which was also great. So I want to now set us into.
I did do that.
That was good. It split it up.
I was thinking like the whole time I was talking, like, damn, I kind of already said a whole bunch.
It's a lot.
We have to push the warning sign because you cussed. So hold on.
It has to come like 5 seconds after every
Sorry to our home audience.
It's like the tsunami. It's like the tsunami warning that happens like 10 minutes after the earthquake. It's like, all right.
Hey, there was a tornado just now, guys. Did you know that?
Okay, so money obviously really important for endeavors and things like that. You
Big
talked
deal.
a lot of like things, especially things that are kind of like nonprofit and philanthropic, which is fine. Um,
The second one would probably be, I mean, I already mentioned it, but the second one would really be the networking aspect. So make sure that you're putting a crew together that, like I said, really, really, really believes in your project. Um, because
well,
when you
so like,
get,
how do you find a crew?
have you guys ever heard that quote by, or seen that video by Issa Rae where she talks about networking across rather than networking up?
Yeah, one of my
That,
favorite quotes.
well, just as a side note, she actually didn't say that. Her friend said that. She clarified it, but she didn't actually say that.
Wow.
But it is a really dope. It is a really dope video because she's right. I like I
Yeah.
said, I've met a lot of people, not only in Ohio, because I want to put it out there that there's so much talent in Ohio. There really is, and I know that if I ever want to do a film or do anything, I know that I could reach out to you guys or a bunch of other people that I've met just by going to just by
Who
going to,
knew?
just by going to events. Um, but yeah, like I said, even
Wait,
in
wait, wait. I'm sorry. I know I keep it. I'm a horrible person. What events are you going to? There's like a
um
cat sitting club. Do I go to that? Is that gonna?
so initially, so the thing about you guys already know the thing about the poetry scene is that it's small, but it's large at the same time. So it's a small community when you go to the cities, but it's large because there's always somebody who's in poetry. There's always going to be some type of poetry pocket, whether it's um, California or Houston or hell, even the UK. There's always going to be somebody that you know who does poetry. So that's what I did when I moved out here. I didn't know anybody, so my first instinct was to just go straight to wherever I could find open mics, and that's
Hmm.
where I pretty much got my start with doing all of my poems there and expanding. And even when I said that I was pretty well known when I did Yellow back in Cleveland, but now I feel like I'm kind of known for Gold, and that's because I've been doing it over and over and over again over the years. But yeah, that's pretty much how you build your crew is you just find different things to do because from poetry I ended up finding the fine arts community. From the fine arts community I ended up finding the film community. I ended up finding the dance community. Like there's so many different places that you can go as an artist that you'll end up meeting people, especially being in theater, especially being in film. You meet so many different people who have different like a bunch of different skills. So you'll find them. You will find your people. And I wouldn't I wouldn't sleep on work too, because you never know. Even though you might be sitting beside somebody at a cubicle or whatever, you don't know what they do outside of work. You don't know what they do outside of work. So, just taking the time to get to know people. And I'm a pretty awkward person, so it can be kind of hard for me to talk to people, but I'm awkward as shit. I am. But if you really just put yourself out there, that's something that I'm working on is just putting yourself out there because the more I put myself out there, excuse me, the more that I put myself out there, the more people that I've met. So I hope that answers your question. If
Hmm.
that's how you build your crew. Is that
Yeah, I really like that because when you're thinking about like kind of putting yourself out there, you're making other people kind of aware of the work that you're doing and the things that you're focused on, and
Mhm.
then like you can be surprised by the people that come forward and say like, hey, I'm interested in that. These are things that like I want to do. Like years ago, it's like 6 7 years ago maybe. We worked on this like kind of like a mockumentary of this. There's like a rapper in Columbus, and we worked on this like mockumentary around one of his songs. And actually, one of our good friends, Jordan, he's actually a person who Jordan like it was me, Jeff, Jordan, and Dante that wrote that worked on it. And it was just so interesting because I was talking to Jordan one day, and like as we were talking about it, he was like, I was just like, yeah, we're working on this thing. He was like, oh, I did theater, you know, I did some acting, and that's like definitely something like I did in school and I really loved it, and I would love to kind of do it in some capacity. And he was a person who I knew from the poetry community. And so just to kind of like lean into kind of what you were saying there when it comes to like, you know, you're already in all these different communities just because you decided, hey, I'm gonna make myself like kind of known in the poetry community. I'm gonna perform and I'm gonna make friends, and like these people are typically people that, you know, they have some kind of performance, you know, desire. And it shouldn't be shocking that if somebody's like, I want to go on stage and perform a poem, that that person might also be like, oh, I'm interested in acting, I'm interested in kind of some other kind of performance thing. So yeah, like I really like that aspect of you kind of using the poetry community as like a portal into all these other spaces where you're finding these genuinely interested, like passionate people about the craft.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Actually, I'm part of this artist collective, but it's mainly focused on film. It's called the COA. So if you guys ever come down to Atlanta, you should come to one of their events. They're amazing. Matt was on the Matt was on our live stream. I want to say last week, a couple
Did you
weeks
know?
ago.
Last week, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I knew
he had
about
an
it.
interview and
I was
everything. But yeah, he was on there.
Just like
But
guys like following you in hedges, just like
but no, it was a really dope interview. It was really fun.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a great space because it's completely free. And you get to do so. That's actually where I did my script reading. Was at the COA. So I initially did my script reading for Yellow, and this is what I mean by like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and out of your 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 safe zone. Because I was really putting it off. I was nervous about doing it because when you share your work, you're leaving yourself up for scrutiny and criticism, and that's a really scary feeling to have. But I'm glad that I did it because it pushed me forward a whole lot more to really take the film serious. Like I had already, like I said, I already had the poem, then I already had the script ready. Now it was just sharing it with everybody, and the um, the feedback that I got was just like overwhelmingly positive. And you don't necessarily need validation to push forward to do what you want to do as an artist. You should do whatever the fuck you want. But it is nice
Oh,
to
hold
know
on,
that
we have to.
people,
Okay, so to all the
it is.
children at home that just heard that, don't say that
Oh,
anymore.
I'm
These are
sorry.
for
no,
no. These
no,
are for the children
they
at home.
can't. You
You're
can't
allowed to
say
say it
it,
as much as you
please.
want. The children,
Say it again, Soleil. No.
But
they play
I
this
forgot what I was
in
saying.
like preschools, and so we just want to make sure that they know. Don't
I'm
say.
so good. I'm so weak. Bad. Damn it, I forgot what I was saying. I forgot.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes, yes,
Ah,
do
I'm
whatever the fuck
sorry.
you
Ah, damn, I'm
want.
sorry.
As an artist, really do whatever you want. So I feel like this is a great pivot into Nikki Giovanni, but I was watching a video where she basically said that, people aren't gonna like your stuff. Like not everybody's gonna like your stuff. And if everybody likes it, then you're doing it wrong. Everybody's not
Yes.
gonna like your stuff. And honestly, I feel like that's necessary. People disliking your stuff kind of is a gateway for you to. Honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with listening to criticism because there might be some truth in there. So if you just allow yourself to only hear good stuff, I don't think you're going to grow as a poet. And that is definitely, or not as a poet, as an artist. And that's definitely something that I learned being in the poetry collective when I was in college. It's like, had I not gone through that experience and had I not had a mentor, Ephraim Nehemiah and Damian McClendon, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but they're also poets.
Both of them incredible artists. Yeah,
They,
me and
they,
Ephraim were actually
We're on a team together.
on a team together before.
Mhm. Ah, see, you get
Yeah,
it.
we actually he actually we featured me and him featured on the same show for Broken English too. So
Oh, for real? See?
yeah,
Another full circle moment. But yeah, like
full circle.
they used to break down my poem. This shit used to piss me off. Like it used to make me so mad. But I would not be the writer that I am today if it weren't for a lot of the experiences that I had, and that is one of them. Is You need somebody that's going to be able to look at your work and be like, this is what's working, this is what's not. If you have another eye on it, then it can kind of show you the things that you kind of have blinders on, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I said with Nikki Giovanni, just I lost my train of thought again. I had a point and I lost it.
No,
But
well,
that's
I so
yeah.
kind of just build on what you said there because I was also thinking about like tastemakers or like things that like like are really like high quality. Like if somebody put like a glass of wine in front of me and I tried the glass of wine, I can tell you like probably 10 times out of 10 I'm not gonna like it, right? 'Cause I just I don't like wine. But if somebody was using my taste as a barometer, then it would just be a wrong. I'd be the wrong person to kind of resource for that. And I think about that when it comes to like your poetry or like really anybody's like poetry or films or any kind of art. If you're trying to make work that is palatable for everybody, then you're probably not doing something as at a high level. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure like the best wine in the world, I'm not gonna like, but it's probably
Yeah.
because it's such a good wine. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of
It's not for
outside of like
everybody.
my realm.
It's so good
Yeah.
I can't like it. Yeah.
Some stuff is just not for everybody. And that is perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Some stuff is just not for everybody. But honestly though, when I first started writing, it wasn't I wrote for me. I still write for me. I mean, y'all are great, but I do this shit for me. I really made this script because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it come to life on screen, and I just hope that other people feel the exact same way that I do when they're able to see it. But essentially, like you got to be an artist for yourself, and the people who like it will gravitate towards it. And the ones who don't, it's just not for them, and that's okay.
Yeah, and we talk about that a lot too. And I really like just like this thought of once you start creating, like you just have to assume that you represent one of maybe a lot of people that like the thing that you're creating, or maybe think this way, or maybe like process things this way. And it might not be the person in the room with you. It might not be the person that's right around with you. So you have to actually, create it for yourself, and then kind of you can seek out your audience, seek out your people from there. What do they always say? Like build it and they will come. And so like you have to create what you want to see in the world first. And there's maybe it's not everybody, but there are people that are out there that want to see what you're creating, that are always that have been looking for it. And poets like coming across this a lot. But I definitely have experienced this in like making short films where somebody would be like, yeah, like I never knew I was like looking to see like this movie. I never knew I was looking to kind of see this thing, and it kind of scratched this like itch that I had that now I can revisit when I revisit your work. And so kind of that thought of, yeah, like I'm not trying to make anybody happy. I'm trying to make me happy, and then people are gonna come to that realization when, depending on if it's their kind of work.
I agree. I honestly think that artistry is therapy. You get so much out when you allow yourself to pour yourself into your art. You make your own, it's like you have this canvas, whether that's literally or figuratively, and you get to make it however you want to, and whoever wants to buy it and hang it up in their room, you know, then they do that. But initially, oh, actually, though, if you think about it, when you look at a painting and then you see people and they have their own interpretations of it, like that's another thing that I love about artistry in general, especially when it comes to my work, is having people come up to me and they'll tell me how much they really loved it and things like that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Or when they tell me their own interpretations of it. Um, Wait a minute, pivoting. Have you ever had a moment where like somebody had a completely off the wall interpretation of your work and you're just like, where did you get that from? Have you had that
I
happen?
I have a poem that's like literally about like Morgan Freeman like slowly making the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I wrote it because there's writing wrongs. I don't want to talk about it, but writing wrongs had this slam. This was years ago. Writing wrongs had this slam, and they needed like a 1 minute poems, and I was like, I don't have another 1 minute poem, but I have this impression of like Morgan Freeman, and that I don't know. say what you want about score creep, but they love a good black people impression. So if you can throw one of those out there, that's like 2 extra points wherever you're writing. But yeah, so I wrote that poem there, and I performed the poem, and like this, I'm sure, well-meaning white college student came up to me, and they were just like, and I understand kind of the struggle that you're trying to communicate, because yes, like we did do this to your people, but at the same time, I'm like,
you're
this, you did that to Morgan. But no, it was just this is it. Like, yeah, like people do that all the time, where like they'll get what they need out of your poem, and a lot of times unprovoked, to be like, I get you, and I understand you, and I stand with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you got to be like, you do not know me. This was a
I
this
don't
was
even
a
tell them.
very
I just say, you got that? Wow. A lot of people don't get that. Here, I'll send you my book link. Just buy it. You can get
right, because after that, it's kind of just like I don't know what to say. But yeah, I mean, it really is interesting to see other people's interpretations of your work, because it's like even though you're writing from your own life experience, they're hearing it from their own life experience, and so like they're the way that they're seeing it is just two different things. And I just think that that's just fascinating. I do.
I know we've been going at it for over an hour now, and I don't want to keep you for too long, Soleil.
No,
So
it's fine. I was nervous about that too. I was like, I hope I have enough to say.
this is obviously yes.
It's only if time is linear. If time is linear, then we've been doing great. If time is cyclical, then we don't know how we've been doing.
We'll try again next time.
We'll try again this time.
There's only one time. I had some kind of rapid fire questions for you, but before I get into those, I want to. Oh, they're not too serious. It's like
What are
it's
the
like,
first 8 digits of your social security number? And what is the last digit?
It's like cats, dogs kind of question. But before we get to them, were there any like last major points that you want to let everyone know about? No pressure, but I'm just gonna make you big on screen.
Last major points. I don't really have any. All I want is just for people to come out and see it and donate. Like I said, when I finally do put out a page for the film, along with the GoFundMe, if you want to help fund it and help pay my crew, that would be amazing. But
Do you have a
yeah,
link?
not yet. Not yet. That's what I was saying when I do create the link, because I want to make I want to make y'all please remember. Like I said, I'm doing everything from scratch. So like I'm doing
Yeah.
everything as I go. I'm learning as I go. I really don't know what I'm doing for real, but um, yeah, if you want to help support, that would be incredible. But other than that, if you can't, I get it. Remember, we're in a recession. We're getting ready to have a really shitty president. That I will say, we're about to have a really shitty president, and yeah, I get it.
Oh, no.
This,
Um, no, for real.
For all the basketball enthusiasts at home, she cussed, so just keep that on your heart.
But other than that, I really genuinely hope that when you guys are able to see it, that you like it, because I'm a very sensitive person. I'm a very emotional person, and I tend to write purely from my emotions. And so my goal is always to be heard and to have people feel what I felt when I was creating, you know, my work. So yeah.
I want to add on just like another like kind of smaller, or I guess kind of similar question there as well, because you're somebody who you went from one artist community to another. Well, I wouldn't say from one to another. Like you expanded your artist community, right? And you did it with some real intention. And then you also are expanding kind of your creative discipline. And you already kind of do it in a way when it comes to like your poetry sets, or like kind of integrating singing and things like that. What would you say to the creative community out there that's like, or like the person, I would say like, so the person in the creative community that is struggling kind of integrating their different talents into their work, because like you do so many different things and you're like kind of firing off, and you're doing some things that are like really like it takes a lot of focus, but it also takes a lot of like freeness as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like kind of what would you say to that person in the creative community that's like, oh, like I'm a poet and I really want to sing, like, but what do I kind of do to integrate those?
I would say that I don't know what Matt is talking about because there was no intention. I am chaotic.
Fair enough.
I'm very chaotic. Um,
Spiral
I
out of control, audience.
there was no formula. I really just went out and went to places. Like I said, I'm still growing as a person and as an artist. So I just did a whole bunch of stuff. My only advice would really just be to get out and just do it. Just go and see what happens. Just let life unfold, truly. Because that's pretty much what happened to me is when I just decided to go to these different events and meet people. Don't force it though. Don't force it because then you run into people that aren't really a part of your tribe. Not to say that those people are bad people. It just means that they're not for you. So let
Yeah.
things happen naturally, but don't close yourself up. You know, when you allow yourself to meet new people, you you really grow that way. That's really what it is. It's just, be a little chaotic. Um, be calculated reckless. I'll say that.
Calculated reckless. That sounds like a Batman villain. Calculated
No, I
reckless.
really, I really do.
Escaped
I
Arkham
really,
again.
maybe not recklessness. I'll say calculated risk is a better word.
Mm.
Calculated risk. Don't be afraid to make mistakes when you do so, but just allow yourself to just get out there. That's really the main thing. Don't shut yourself in too much.
All right.
Nice.
Is it time?
It's time. Let's rapid
All right.
fire.
I have some rapid fire questions for you. Some of them are kind of technical stuff about like film and stuff. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Your first question: would you rather film with a camera or on your phone?
Camera.
Okay. What is your favorite microphone? Do you have a favorite? Do you have no
No.
favorite? No
Oh,
favorite mic? Okay.
yes, yes. Have you ever
Okay.
seen the ones that they look like those old timey ones, and they kind of hang down? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do think I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, they
You know what I'm
23
talking.
skidoo.
I don't know. The first movie that comes to mind is like Cadillac Records. Like during that time, have you
Yeah.
seen those
I know what
types
you're
of
talking
microphones? I think you know what I mean.
about. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the first investment you would make, equipment wise, if I want to get started in video or film?
The first investment I would make, it would be in a good camera.
Okay. Who is your go-to poet right now?
My go-to poet.
Present company excluded. You don't have to include us.
Um, I honestly don't think I have a go-to poet right now that I can think of. But the first person that popped up in my mind is Ebony Stewart. She's one of my inspirations for sure.
What's the worst film mistake you've made?
Hmm. I can't answer that question. I don't have an answer for that yet.
What do you think is the most important film lesson that you've had?
Um, hmm. Do it scared.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Were the Matrix sequels necessary?
There's only
Y'all are
one
gonna
right
be so
answer.
mad at me. You're gonna be
There's
so
only
mad.
one right answer.
I haven't seen them in full.
Have you seen the?
The pause.
Hang on.
It's over. It's over.
Have you seen the first one?
I saw parts of it.
You saw parts of the first one.
This is going
I'm,
so
I'm
good.
I'm gonna sit and watch it one of these days. I am. I don't know.
That's
Well, this
fair.
interview's over. All right, thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Silence.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
What do you think is the best tip for performing poems on a stage?
The best tip to performing poems on stage. I know I said this already, but me being an emotional person and a sensitive poet, really allow yourself to go back in time to when you wrote the pieces. Allow yourself to just lose yourself on stage.
Who was the true villain in Lion King?
Hmm. I don't know.
Starts with an S.
No, it doesn't. Well, I guess it might.
If you want to say Scar, I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it makes sense
Simba.
him being mad. Why do you say Simba? He was
Okay,
a baby.
listen. Oh, but here's the problem.
What did he do?
Simba sang an entire song about how he wanted his dad to die when he was young. I just can't wait
I mean,
to be
be fair,
king.
my child does that.
I just can't wait to be king. It's also a hey, let's kill Mufasa song. Just to put that out there.
Oh, come on now. Y'all are terrible.
If he would have said, "Hey, when I become king, when it's a natural progression,
these are
I'll
rapid
be
fire
excited."
questions,
If
these
he
are,
said,
these are rapid fire questions.
"Watch,
Rapid
I'm
fire.
a Mufasa truther."
That would make the lyrics so long, though.
We are at time on that question. We are at time. We're at time. Best interior decorating advice if I want to make my bathroom my inspiration space. Candles.
What was the question again?
I'm gonna just. You don't have to answer the question.
He was trying to make a joke.
No, I wasn't.
That didn't work out.
If I was inspired by your talk and want to make my bathroom my inspiration space, how should I decorate my bathroom?
I would start with color. Whatever color makes you feel the best.
Gotta take out the black. Okay. I don't have a black bathroom.
Take out the black.
This is where the darkness encloses me.
Agreed.
Good times.
This is a fill in the blank. In 10 years, my writing is...
Oscar nominated. Hey. Or Emmy nominated. Or
You gotta
Tony.
pick one.
No, Tony.
You gotta pick one.
No, I don't. I'm choosing both. Damn it. Both.
First one to win an Oscar and a Grammy. And, all right. I have one final question for you. The future of poetry is...
Beautiful.
Oh.
That's all I had.
That's a nice one. So you survived our 10 questions.
That was great.
I know, very high stakes.
No, it really was. Really was.
Slay, any final thoughts?
No. Just thank you for having me. Thank you guys for listening. Like I said, I hope you guys like me. I hope you want to see the film, and I hope you guys follow me, and I hope you're excited to hear more.
Perfect. Cool. Slay, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Again, it was like a lot of technical a lot of things were trying to bring this situation down, but no, we thrived and we survived through it.
Thrived is a strong word, but
I feel like I would say thrived. We thrived more than Mufasa did. That's for sure.
Cool. Slay. We'll put you backstage. Thanks so much for being with us. You have a good night. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. All right, you take care. Bye. And did you want to give a shout out to your wifey?
Shout out Ajane.
She didn't say this about you, but
no, that's unfair. That's unfortunate.
But we can say she did.
That's what I told myself in my heart.
Thank you for organizing the interview, sir.
No, it was a ton of fun. It was a pleasure being able to connect another really, really cool artist to the platform. Glad that everybody here was so receptive.
And hopefully everyone here also gives you some inspiration for other ideas and projects you can do with your own work and ways to get started. We'll be back next week with more.
We have another interview.
Yes, we
next week. Next week we got Sierra Leone is going to be on the program. Met her a couple times, and I'm excited to interview her on the show. We'll talk about her next week.
For sure. With that, guys, hope to see you all later. Hope you guys have a good day, good night, good afternoon. Once more, my name is Jeff.
I'm Matthias.
We'll see you guys. Take care.